Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going deep on something I think a lot of us are curious about, and that's exercise and how it can help with stress.
Yeah, it's a popular topic.
Definitely. It seems like everyone's looking for ways to de-stress these days, right? And you sent over this article, and it looks like there's some pretty interesting stuff in here.
It is. We always talk about exercise for our bodies, for our physical health, but the article you sent, it really dives into the mental benefits, like how exercise can actually help us manage our stress and just feel better mentally.
That's awesome. Let's dive into it. I'm seeing stuff in here about endorphins, cortisol, even how exercise can impact our sleep. So where should we start?
Well, we could start with the endorphins. Have you ever heard of the runner's high?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But I always thought that was just, like a saying.
Well, it's a real thing. So when we exercise, our brains release these chemicals called endorphins. Endorphins are natural painkillers, but they also really boost our mood. And some studies have shown that they can even create a feeling of euphoria, like real happiness and relaxation.
Oh, wow. So that feeling of calm you get after a good workout, you can actually thank your brain for that.
Exactly. It's like your brain is rewarding you for taking care of your body.
I like that. But what about for chronic stress, the kind that just seems to linger? Does exercise really have an effect on that?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It does. So let's talk about cortisol.
Cortisol.
Yeah, so cortisol is known as the stress hormone. And when we're constantly stressed out, under pressure, our bodies pump out a lot of it. And if our cortisol levels stay high for a long time, well, that can lead to some serious problems.
Like what kinds of problems?
Well, like weight gain, it can weaken your immune system, and it can even increase your risk for some chronic diseases.
Yeah.
But here's the good news. Exercise. It actually helps regulate those cortisol levels.
Oh, so it can kind of bring things back into balance.
Exactly. It's like hitting the reset button on your stress response system.
Okay, that makes sense. But, when I'm already feeling stressed, it can be really hard to find the motivation to exercise. Like, my brain just wants to shut down, not get moving. How do we overcome that?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Even small amounts of exercise can make a difference.
Really?
Yeah, even a short walk can help lower your cortisol levels and get those feel-good endorphins flowing.
So it's not about pushing ourselves to the limit every time.
Not at all. It's about finding what works for you and what you can realistically fit into your life.
Yeah.
And then just being consistent.
Okay, that's encouraging. So it's like, instead of viewing exercise as this huge obligation, we can kind of reframe it as a way to actively manage our stress, almost like a tool.
Exactly. Think about it this way. When you're feeling overwhelmed, instead of reaching for your phone or, another cup of coffee, what if you took a quick walk or did some stretching? You might be surprised at how much better you feel.
I like that. I'm definitely going to try that next time I'm feeling stressed. But how does exercise, is it just a temporary fix? Or does it actually help us build resilience to stress over time?
Well, it actually does both. So in the short term, exercise can definitely provide some relief from stress, like we were just talking about. But when you exercise regularly, over time, you're essentially training your body and mind to handle stress better.
So it's like building a stronger foundation.
Yeah, exactly. Strengthening that stress response system so that when those tough situations come up, you're better equipped to cope. You're more resilient.
That makes a lot of sense. So it's not just mental. There are actually physiological changes happening in our brains when we exercise.
Absolutely. There's this really important substance called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Yeah, so BDNF is it's like fertilizer for your brain. It helps your brain cells grow and thrive, and exercise has been shown to boost those BDNF levels.
Wow, so exercise actually helps our brains grow.
In a way.
Yeah.
And when our BDNF levels are higher, well, that's been linked to all sorts of good things like improved mood, less anxiety, even better memory and focus.
That's incredible. I'm definitely starting to rethink my whole view of exercise. I never really thought about it as a tool for stress management before.
It's a powerful tool.
Yeah.
And one that's available to pretty much everyone. Now, how about we talk about how to actually make it a part of your routine? Because, knowing all this is great, but actually doing it, that's the real challenge.
For sure. I'm ready to hear about that. All right. So we know that exercise can be this awesome way to fight stress. It boosts our mood and helps us regulate our hormones and even makes our brains stronger. But I think the big question is, how do we actually make it happen?
That is the million-dollar question, right? Because it's one thing to know all the benefits, but it's another thing to, actually get ourselves moving.
For sure, because I know for me, when I think about adding exercise on top of everything else I have to do, it can feel really overwhelming.
Yeah, I get that. It can definitely feel like just one more thing on our to-do list.
Yeah.
But the article you sent, it really emphasizes that it's not about intensity, it's about consistency. You don't have to be training for a marathon or anything to get those stress-busting benefits. The key is just finding ways to move your body regularly, even if it's just for a few minutes each day.
So it's like ditch the all or nothing approach and just try to fit in whatever we can, whenever we can.
Exactly. Instead of thinking you have to go to the gym for an hour every day, how about a quick 10-minute walk during your lunch break?
Right.
Or, maybe a little yoga flow before bed. Even just dancing to your favorite song for a few minutes can make a difference.
Those are great ideas. Way less intimidating than a full-blown workout. But I think a lot of people, myself included, kind of get stuck on finding the right type of exercise. Like, is there one that's best for stress relief?
That's something I hear a lot.
Yeah.
And the truth is, there's no one-size-fits-all answer. It's really about finding what you enjoy. Because if you hate running, you're probably not going to stick with it.
Totally. Makes sense.
So it's about finding activities that bring you joy and make you want to move. Maybe it's dancing, maybe it's hiking, maybe it's swimming, or, even just playing a game of basketball with friends. The key is to experiment and find what works for you.
Yeah, it's like tap into that inner child who just wants to have fun, Not the adult who feels like they should be exercising.
Yes, exactly. And speaking of fun, don't underestimate the power of social connection.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Well, joining a fitness class or, finding a workout buddy or even playing on a sports team. Those things can really help with motivation, accountability, and there's something really uplifting about moving your body alongside other people,
Yeah, for sure. It's like turning exercise into a social event rather than just a solo chore. So we've got, consistency is key, finding joy in movement, connecting with others. It's like creating this whole approach to exercise, one that really benefits both our bodies and our minds.
I think you summed it up perfectly. And, one more thing I would add to that is listening to your body.
Oh, yeah, listening to your body. I've heard that before, but honestly, what does that actually mean?
Well, it means paying attention to how you're feeling. Some days you might wake up and feel full of energy, ready for a tough workout. But other days, you might need something gentler, like some stretching or a walk in the park. It's about honoring what your body needs in that moment.
So it's okay to adjust our workouts based on how we're feeling, not just stick to a strict schedule.
Exactly. Rest is just as important as pushing yourself.
This is all such great advice, but I have to be honest, there are still those days where the couch just looks so inviting. Any tips for overcoming those moments of resistance?
Well, I think we all have those days, right? And sometimes the best thing you can do is just acknowledge those feelings. It's okay to have off days, but remind yourself of how good you feel after you exercise.
It's like that saying, motivation gets you started, but habit keeps you going.
Exactly. And speaking of habits, how about we dive into some strategies for making exercise a more ingrained part of your routine?
All right, so we've talked about the science behind exercise and stress and how important it is to find activities we actually enjoy. But I'm really curious about those strategies you mentioned, the ones that can help make exercise a habit, something that we just do naturally. Because let's face it, sometimes even the best intentions kind of fall apart when we're busy and stressed.
Yeah, I think that happens to all of us, right? We know we should exercise, we want to exercise, but then life gets in the way. But the good news is there's some really effective ways to make it easier to stick with it.
Okay, I'm ready. Tell me everything.
Well, one really cool technique is called habit stacking. And it's like you're taking a new habit, like exercise, and linking it to an existing habit that you already do without even thinking about it.
So piggybacking on something you already do.
Exactly. So, for example, let's say you always have a cup of coffee first thing in the morning, right?
Right.
Well, maybe you could try doing a 5-minute stretching routine right after you finish your coffee.
Or
if you always walk your dog in the evenings, maybe you could add an extra block or two to your usual route. Or, even just do some light jogging intervals.
I like that. So it's like you're tricking your brain into making exercise part of your routine.
In a way, yeah. Because you're not really adding something new. You're just attaching it to something you already do automatically.
That's really smart. And it takes the pressure off, having to find a whole separate chunk of time for exercise.
Exactly. And then the other thing is, convenience is huge.
Right.
Make it as easy as possible for yourself to exercise. So if you're always rushing in the mornings, maybe lay out your workout clothes the night before so you're not scrambling to find them. Or if you don't have time to get to the gym, there are tons of great workout videos online that you can do at home.
Right. It's about removing those obstacles.
Yeah. And here's another thing to consider. What if we stop thinking about exercise just in terms of formal workouts?
What do you mean?
Well, what if we started thinking about movement as something we can do throughout the day, in little ways?
So instead of that hour at the gym, it's more about finding opportunities to move our bodies whenever we can.
Yeah, exactly. Take the stairs instead of the elevator. Walk or bike to the store instead of driving. Have walking meetings with your coworkers. If you have a desk job, get up and stretch every hour.
It's like making movement a part of your lifestyle, not just a separate activity.
Right. And those little things, they really do add up over time.
This has been so eye-opening. I'm actually feeling excited about exercising now, which I never thought I would say.
That's great to hear. And, one last thing I would say is, don't forget to celebrate your progress.
Yeah, we talked about that before. Why is that so important?
Well, it's easy to get caught up in, always wanting to do more, to push ourselves harder. But it's important to acknowledge how far we've come, even if it's just showing up for a 10-minute walk when we wanted to stay on the couch.
So it's about appreciating those small wins.
Exactly. Because those small wins, they build momentum and help us stay motivated.
This has been such a great deep dive. I feel like I have a whole new perspective on exercise. It's not about punishment or deprivation. It's about, taking care of ourselves and managing stress and just feeling good.
I couldn't agree more. Exercise is truly a gift we give ourselves.
It really is. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and we'll see you on our next deep dive.